Hey, deserving listeners, Ultimatum. Let's see what comes flying out of my face as I watch.
And all of a sudden, the TV turns on, it goes to Spotify, it logs in on both of your accounts. And it's so strange.
It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Because we tried to connect our phones and you needed an approval. Both of your accounts opened up. And all there's been was sex playlists.
Okay, so I'm guessing, and it's a viable conspiracy that the show would do this on purpose, right? But what a weird way to do it. There's other ways. But yeah, okay. I mean, a significant possibility is that, I mean, this happens to me. I'll be on my phone and I'll accidentally press that like share with screen button, and suddenly like some screen in the house has now been commandeered by my phone or some Bluetooth speaker. It's kind of maddening, actually. Or I'll be in a public place and I'll accidentally press that button, and like just one more press and suddenly like I'm broadcast. So I imagine it's maybe I don't know that much about it, but I could see that being the case, that they had, and you know, some of these TVs have the most ridiculous settings on them that make it almost impossible not to connect. It's just like, it's like forcing connections. I've seen that before, actually. Actually, was talking with a friend of mine that has a TV that does that, and literally every time he turns the phone on, he has to like turn that off because it will, and he's gone on Reddit, and there's like no way to stop it from connecting to this one thing. So I could see a scenario where they had connected to their TV and had given that permission, and somehow that gave a blanket permission. Yeah, who knows? But anyway, that's just sex playlists. Like that doesn't, you know, maybe Dana was just like, I just have a really great playlist and I'll just listen to that. It just seems like there's a lot of us. And plus, I don't understand why Dana and Mel just don't say, by the way, we did get together. We didn't do X, Y, and Z, but we did do A, B, and C. And it'll come out when the show comes out. And I thought that was okay, because it didn't look like Dana and Mel were upset about, you know, they weren't like hiding it. They weren't trying to hide it from the cameras, really. And they didn't seem to be busted up about it at all. They just seemed like, okay, we're in a trial marriage, let's go. Like Pilar was going for it with Kyle. It's just kind of an anomaly that with these 12 people, that only a couple of them, Marie and Brittany didn't seem like they were getting together. AJ and Marie didn't seem like they were, and Bridget and Ashley didn't seem like they were getting together. So, you know, so I don't understand why Dana and Mel just don't say, we did get together.
You have one private playlist that you guys created together. And on your account, you opened the album that you made for me. And you took all of the songs that you created for me, including our song Together, and you put that on your playlist together.
Okay.
And I don't appreciate that.
Okay, so Dana isn't refuting that. Yeah, I mean, that's a hint of something. And given what we saw on the security cameras and stuff, it's not surprising. So it's interesting, of all the ways that you could discover something, right? And again, I'll add to the possibility that production did it in a manipulative way. But I honestly wonder how production even could. They would have had to get a hold of Dana's phone, right? Anyway, possible. But at the very least, what Megan is telling us now is they're saying that the TV just turned on, which makes me think like Dana used a remote and they were nearby and it actually, anyway, so I'll just get out of the weeds of that. But at the very least, Megan sees this and starts, it's like, and so how would she know? Would she have the ability with the remote to actually look at the playlists? Because, you know, she's not on her phone. So yeah, I guess remote, because then, and she's like, oh, there's another sex playlist, and clicks on it, sees all the songs, like, oh my God, all those are our sex songs. Okay. And I suppose for everyone, there's a different meaning of that. But yeah, I mean, what other conclusion would you come? No, but I wish they would have, at least for my benefit, that they would define what was on the table as a possibility and what wasn't, and what happened, right? Because Dana and Mel did get together often. So are they obscuring something? What's happening?
At all.
Heard. Okay, babe. Understood.
I know tonight has been incredibly emotional. Thank you all so much for sharing and being so vulnerable.
Okay, so I think the host is doing that thing again, pointing out the obvious, which, again, what else are you supposed to say? You are tasked as the leader and facilitator to move to the next step, which I think this is what she's doing, and you have to honor what's been happening and move forward. And I've been in that position before as a family therapist or group therapist or as a professor where I guess particularly as a professor that classes at my university are typically 3 hours long. So, and we, in some classes, get into some very personal things because to be a therapist means you got to know your shit and your own shit and deal with your own shit. And sometimes just your own shit comes up. And since we're all therapists, we're, willing to have those conversations, but it can get pretty real sometimes, a lot of crying and tears and emotion. And then I have to switch gears to take a break or to talk about the next assignment or something. And what do you say, right? So there's no clean way of doing that. You just have to say something. And that's as good as anything anyone else is going to say in a situation like that, I guess. But I wonder how the cast members feel about her. Do they feel like, what else are you supposed to say? Or do they feel like, I feel like she's a little out of touch at times. I don't know. And it also makes me wonder what were the qualifications to be the host, because there are trained facilitators in these situations, whether they're therapists or otherwise, that might have a more effective way of charismatically having those transitions. And we're only seeing an edited version. And I will state for the record that, and I'm being honest, that if I were because some people are like, oh, you'd be so much better, Kirk, because I would not be. I would also be similarly struggling with how to word things because you got to move things along. And I'd also be like, there's a earpiece where the production's telling me and I'm trying to keep track of things. I'm looking at the clock or whatever, and I'm struggling with the dress that she's wearing. And so it's a lot. And I would be nervous as all get out, and probably I would barely be able to get a word out. So it's a hard thing to do.
How is an ox, though? It's literally, I think it's a cow.
What do you mean it's a cow?
I don't know. Like, I thought it was an ox.
We do have a connection that you've known. And we've teetered the line of could it be, could it not? And we never went there because we love our partner so much.
Okay, interesting. So Mel is disclosing some of it, and a pretty significant part of it, of we did think about could it be, could it not? I think meaning should we be together? I think that alone would cause Marie some serious pause or thinking about the viability of their relationship, which was already in question, I think. So there's that. But then Mel says, but we ultimately decided together that we weren't going to entertain our relationship because we loved our partner so much. In the edit, that's not the way it looked, right? Mel was ready to go for it with Dana, and Dana said she wasn't ready to do that.
You teetered the line. Okay, as long as you know where I'm going with that.
We came here together in hopes to get engaged after all this.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I bet you fucking are sorry. You're not sorry for shit. You're sorry because this is backfiring in your face.
So as a kind of a side note to what's happening here is the way Dana describes Megan is that Megan is the emotional, volatile one and Dana is not, which would potentially give reason to conclude for the two of them that Megan is the more preoccupied one and Dana is the more avoidant one. And who knows, in terms of what we saw. The other possibility is that Dana is more avoidant when with Megan, but when Dana gets with Mel, who is more, I don't know if it's avoidant or just less volatile or something, which is putting it lightly, that Dana, by comparison, becomes more preoccupied. I talked about how I will do that sometimes. If I'm in a challenging attachment situation, then my default is to be avoidant, secure leaning. But if I'm with someone that is particularly avoidant, even more avoidant than I tend to be, which isn't really saying much, but I hope you get my meaning, then I tend to be more pursuing and more preoccupied and more volatile. So, and the thing is that under every avoidant person is a preoccupied, anxious person, is a desperate, needy person. They just have a particular way of, one way of seeing it is that all insecurely attached people have a desperate, needy person, but whether they show it or not, right? How do they deal with it internally? Anyway, so for Dana and Megan, we're kind of seeing at least the way Dana was describing, because Dana's being extremely calm right now anyway, but who knows what it's like ongoing. I could also see a scenario where Megan is now feeling free to emote in a way that she didn't feel before, but I don't know.
You think that you can treat people however you want, and then when you're not treated the way you want, then you want to play the sympathy card?
That's really what you think?
That's exactly what I think. It's exactly what I know. It's exactly what you've shown me this whole time we've been here.
Why are you staying then?
I don't know.
If you're done, we don't have a future.
I really don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly looked that way from a number of angles. Not only just Megan's witnessing and hearing about Dana and Mel being close. I mean, even if they didn't have the particular sexual act that people were wondering about, just knowing that they connected, right? Which is, I think, part of the, consent to coming on the show, that might happen. It's not a betrayal. It's more a disappointment, I think. But anyway, that alone could cause Megan to be like, yeah, like with Marie, knowing that Mel connected quite intensely with Dana, even if, if you're Marie and you're thinking, well, I did sign up for that possibility, so I can't blame Mel. She didn't betray me in any way, but it does illuminate something. I was giving Mel an ultimatum to marry me, and then when she is given the chance, like a hall pass, she starts to have feelings for someone. I think that might say, there's room in Mel's heart for other people, and therefore that shines a light on our relationship and how Mel really feels about me. Not that I blame Mel or that she did something wrong. It's just that she's not into me as much as I hoped she would be, and now I kind of know. It's clarifying in that way. So for Megan, it could be similar, right? But also Megan and Haley told each other they had fallen in love with each other. So now one could wonder and maybe even viably assume that if there weren't indications of Mel and Dana getting close, that Megan wouldn't have been open to falling in love, right? But maybe not. Who knows what would have happened otherwise. But at the very least, Megan should, because the topic sentence really of this scenario is what looks to be happening is that Megan is on her way out of Dana to be with Haley. And whatever happened between Mel and Dana doesn't really affect that, right?
A 4-leaf clover. Are you matching?
Yeah, so I didn't show the scene, but Mel and Dana got matching tattoos, which I thought to be extremely risky because for Mel, I think she was in the midst of love, and I could see why Mel would be motivated to get the tattoo, even if at the bottom line, Mel's like, well, we're not going to be together, but I want to hold on to something. You could see Mel, but for Dana at that point, she was thinking, I'm not going to be with Mel, and I want to, be with Megan. Maybe not. But they get a tattoo towards the end, which, it has different meanings among different people, but one of them or both of them indicated in a one-on-one interview that they were thinking this wasn't a good decision. And maybe there were some drinks involved. I don't know, caught up in the moment. But I was thinking, if you're going to be together, then maybe hide the tattoo, break up with your past person, and then later come out with the tattoos or something. But if you plan on even possibly getting back together with your original partner, then this is not a good idea, especially, if Marita and Brittany got matching tattoos, then it would be less threatening because Marita and Brittany had no romantic or sexual chemistry at all. So to have the tattoos with all the chemistry, it's just like, why would you do that? Now, maybe it's some sort of sabotage, some sort of unconscious attempt to sabotage the relationship with the previous person. Or, again, there's nothing wrong with doing it, right? People do this all the time, friends, even as you're breaking up with someone. But I just was wondering about how you were going to explain it.
Are you fucking kidding? You got a matching tattoo.
He did, yes.
My God. She's really gonna be a part of my life forever now, isn't she?
And then Marie says that, which sounds to me like she's thinking that there is a future with Mel. And she's just like, oh, now I got to deal with Dana on a tattoo. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
I just struggle when I don't understand you because I usually understand you so well. I don't really know what to do about it.
I feel terrible that something physical happened. I know that didn't need to happen, and I didn't want that to happen.
Okay, so I think we're at least hearing an account of intentions heading into the trial marriages. And I think that there was some massive misunderstanding between Kyle and Pilar, because Pilar seemed to be operating from a place of assuming that they're going to get together physically on some level, and that Kyle is now saying, but maybe she's misremembering or spinning it a little bit, but I tend to believe her. And if that's true, then she's heading into the trial marriage intending never to get together physically with Pilar, which is totally fine. But I'm guessing that since Pilar tried to make out with her, that was not communicated, right? But it is true that Kyle did draw a boundary, and that was communicated in that moment, but not before, presumably. Maybe not. Who knows? But then Kyle had the non-consensual kiss, and they talked about it. And now Bridget is hurt. And it also seems like what we're hearing is that there wasn't any kissing or physical contact after that point between Kyle and Pilar, which I was wondering about to some extent. But so for Kyle, all she needs to say is, I wasn't intending on getting together with Pilar, and then out of the blue, she just tried to kiss me while we were out one night, and I told her no. And then later on the night, she just planted one on me, and I was like, I didn't know what to do, and I felt uncomfortable, and we got in a big fight about it afterwards. So you don't have anything to worry about in terms of like me actively participating, because I didn't really. So I think that would help Bridget.
I feel awful, especially knowing for me, like it didn't mean anything.
But to me, it's like, if you loved me that much, why did those things happen?
I was thinking of you. I know that I was acting very selfishly, and
So maybe I'm missing something here, but even they fought about it, Pilar and Kyle. So Kyle is not emphasizing enough just how it went down, right? From Bridget's perspective, it's like that Kyle didn't intend on making out with Pilar, but then got swept up in the moment and did it consensually, which is apparently not the case. So I think that would help Bridget, but maybe that isn't how it went down. Or maybe there's another makeout or another kiss.
Selfishly, and I think
That's what I don't understand.
Yeah, and that's what I can't explain, because there is no rational reason for it.
I think you need to figure out what the reason is.
I know the reason. It's me not standing up for myself, not wanting to hurt someone.
Because I really don't want to be in a marriage where I feel like you're going to just do whatever to be nice.
Yeah, Bridget's feelings are rational and understandable, but it's a trial marriage. It's a particular scenario. So I don't think Kyle is at risk of likely being in a scenario like that. It could happen, right? Someone could like Kyle, but even for Kyle to be in those shoes, there's a pretty good likelihood that Kyle, if it was just some random woman at a dance club or a friend that was trying to get with her, I think Kyle would have had a different approach. It would have been stronger, right? I think Kyle was maybe even kind of struggling with wait, so should I be drawing? Is it fair for me to drop? I think there was some confusion. But I'm glad that Kyle is being more clear about what I thought happened, which is this doesn't have to do with me wanting to kiss her. It really just has to do with me not having a backbone and pushing back. And I should have done that, you know. So, yeah. And, you know, this is kind of hard to watch because I think if Brittany understood, she would have a totally different attitude about this. Because, in a sense, not in a severe way, but Kyle is a victim. And to expand this further, someone is raped by, you know, a coworker or something, and then they go home and then the victim gets blamed. You know, why didn't you say no more? Why didn't you push back? Why didn't you get violent or something? You know, that happens. And this is akin to that. So I just want to, I don't know if that's what's happening, but I'll just put that out there as a thing that happens.
It's like,
And you don't have to worry about that.
it's fine to not be liked by everybody.
I know. I realize that 1000%. I don't need the ego boost. I don't need that. Like, I wasn't asserting myself. And I don't want you to have to worry about that. Like, I don't have a wandering eye. I don't need.
And really, I just think Bridget isn't being told well enough by Kyle. I think Kyle is the type of communicator that is limited in her range and emphasis. You know, if I were in Kyle's shoes, I would be like, Bridget, you have to, and maybe because the cameras are there, Kyle doesn't want to throw Pilar under the bus again or something. I don't know. But I would be like, Bridget, you don't understand. We had a huge fight about this because I did not appreciate that she non-consensually kissed me that second time. I told her no, and then out of the blue, and yeah, in the moment, I just, it felt, I don't know, I felt bad. It just felt harsh, but believe me, I did not want to do it by the fact that literally an hour earlier, I told her I didn't want to do it. So I guess you can fault me for not being more firm, and maybe I should figure that out, but this isn't my fault. And if anything, you should be encouraged by the fact that at no point did I want to do it, and I verbally said no. So, you know, but I don't think I'm communicating well enough just how non-consensual it was. All right, so, well, if you want merch, this is a fun one. My cat wants to chime in. It's my old cat there, Michelle. Stacy designed this, and everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.